Hello and welcome back to the next One Piece review and discussion. We are finally getting stuck into the last chapter of Egghead. I am a week behind here. I know this chapter released last week, but I was caught up, I was ill, so we are getting into it this week, which is kind of lucky because this week is obviously a break. So this just is a nice transition into next week's chapter. So only a week to wait at this point. So I am looking forward to finishing off Egghead here. Looking forward to Elbaf. I think this is one of the most highly anticipated arcs in what could be all of One Piece, especially for me. Viking in One Piece, the perfect blend. I cannot wait to see what Oda does. So I'm looking forward to what's to come. But we are not there yet. We have got this final chapter to round out the Egghead Island arc. So, without further ado, chapter 1124, Close Friend or Best Friend. So, continuing with Yamato's cover story, she is protecting a young girl on the road to Kuri. So a abduction or a sort of theft. She prevents it, and the thief is like running off into the distance, and this young girl is cowering behind Yamato as they valiantly defend against this abduction. So we're now moving districts. We've still got a long way to go. This is going to be quite a long cover story, I reckon, but we're making good headway before I think they are eventually going to leave Wano, which I think is where it's heading. But nevertheless, last we had left off, we had a whole chapter recapping 2 weeks prior to Egghead, where it turns out Vegapunk knew this whole time that York was the traitor, that the Marines were on the way, that his life was in danger, and he'd set up the whole broadcast, the whole island defences, what was going to happen, and then him, Shaka, and Pythagoras wiped their memory so that all the information that was discovered and found out would be genuine. They would show genuine shock to fool them into thinking that they didn't know this whole time. So, a smart move, seen as the smartest man in the world, can do that. So, why not? But we ended with the declaration from Usopp himself that we are off to the land of his dreams. So, this is the final chapter of Egghead. I think it puts us at about 63, 64 chapters. So, it's been a fairly decent length arc. It's certainly up there with most arcs. But we start with the main man himself, Morgans, just getting absolutely pumped. The stage is set. Vegapunk's message is finished now, and he's like, we are just jam-packed full of news. We've got to give them fear now. We've got to paint this picture of a disaster that is to come. They are desperate for this information, and we are the ones who are going to provide it. And Vivi is like, you are incorrigible. How you can just get away with this, spreading falsehoods and amplifying people's fears, you damn albatross. And Morgan's just like, whoa, 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 little lady, slow your roll. You're trying to ruin my steed. Don't forget, I'm hiding you here. And she is like, I'm just done with you. Like, people in this world deserve more and not to be manipulated by your lies. And they're like having this back and forth, and it's Wapple who comes over. He's like, Vivi, just be kind to the big bird, please. He's been so kind to us. Please don't anger him. You know, we're safe, aren't we? And Morgan's just like, you have a point. He's an honest man, but the truth is as good as the tale you tell it with. So this whole world sinking is just the perfect thing, the perfect story, and even for me, my home is in the sky. His ship is flying, obviously, so he's like, "This is my era." The sky is where I've made it. So everyone's going to be coming up here, and he looks over. He's like, "Do you really wanna, take this attitude with me, princess? Sure it won't set you back." And Vivi, so strong of character at this point. She's gone through so much already, and she was like, "I'm not gonna like sell my morals for you or for anything. If the world is going to be destroyed, then I'm gonna live on my own terms." And he's laughing away, and he's like, fair dues, but we've got a whole host of stories to run. First, we've got Blackbeard versus Trafalgar Law. He knows about that. We've got Eustace Captain Kidd versus the red-haired Shanks. And obviously, the main one of Emperor Straw Hat Luffy murdering Vegapunk. All of the Emperors getting a show. Not Buggy, though. Doesn't know about the Cross Guilds trying to make their move yet, but I'm sure he'll find out soon. So, as he laughs away and Vivi is like screaming at him for saying that Luffy was the one to have murdered Vegapunk, and she's like, that's just blatant lies, we come back over to Egghead, where a radio transmission is trying to reach any one of the Marines. Someone is speaking, is like, can anyone report in? Is everyone dead? Like, what is happening? Can anyone respond? And we do see that Sentomaru has survived, and bless him, is just rowing away in this tiny rowboat, giant axe in the side, a barrel, tearing up, and it's just solemnly just rowing. Like, I feel awful. Everyone else just got off, and poor dude just like, yeah, don't worry guys, I'll catch up in no time. So, don't know how soon these Marines are going to wake up. But it turns out not every Marine is down. Because the transmission that is coming in, someone, click, picks up the transponder snail and just says, shut up. And Akainu is the one on the other end of the line being like, why is it you are picking up this call, Borsalino? So Kizaru is still up. He didn't get knocked down in the massive hacky wave sent from the past by Joy Boy. He's still up and kicking. And Aki was like, what is happening there? Report in now. And he's like, basically every last person I can see is foaming at the mouth and is just KO'd. They are not waking up anytime soon. And he's like, what do you mean? Is Saturn unharmed? What about the power plant? Did anyone escape? And he's listing off all these like questions of like priority. And Kizaru's like, yeah, I'll have one of the young'uns give you a report when they wake up. But why doesn't Kizaru want to report about Saturn anymore? Why does he not want to give... I guess he's in a bit of a state at the minute, which we find out. But he doesn't reveal to Akainu the whereabouts or any condition on Saturn. We are yet to know where Saturn is on this island, in what shape he's in, and the consequences of what this fallout will be at Egghead. But Akinu's like, look, you did a sloppy job here, my guy. You know, this is poor. And Kizaru's like, tell me something, Sakazuki. Just one thing. Have you ever had to kill your best friend? And he listens to it, and then we just have a shot, a couple of panels of the building of Egghead back in the day when Vegapunk and Kizaru first interacted, the whole journey to get to this point, then becoming friends, spending time on Egghead, building it himself amongst all the other robots and Vegapunk. Kizaru remembers it all. And we called it way back when he stabbed Vegapunk, and we see that, and it shows a shot of like his glasses, and we know for a fact he is like tearing up there. He is watching it before his very eyes. His best friend. Now, I haven't seen it yet, but I need a fan art of Vegapunk and Kizaru stood like Yuji and Todo. You know, Besto, Friendo. They're the dream team now. These are the boys. Because he has just had to do his job in the worst way possible. And it genuinely only comes down to one factor. Saturn. If it was just the Armada and Buster Call and Kizaru was amongst it, I don't think Kizaru would have gone through with it. The fact that a 5 Elder was present and also then on the island in his kaiju form, Kizaru couldn't hold back. He knows he's no match for Saturn. He's a strong individual. His version of justice, but this could be a turning point for Kizaru to abandon the justice he had and redeem himself in some way or change his ways, because he just went through so much pain in these couple of hours. And he says this to Sakazuki. He's like, you're saying I did a sloppy job. Do you have any idea what I've just done? If you have the time to sit there and doubt me, then come here yourself and see the work I have done, you ungrateful brat. And he is like furious. For the first time in a long time, we see Kizaru is riled up. Like, normally he's that like dead slow, dead like calm individual for being like the fastest dude in the world because of his light fruit. He personifies to just, you know, it's not going to work out, it's so slow, it's so calm. He is livid. And it is Akainu to be like, I'm sorry, brother. You know, Kizaru's like, look, just don't even start. And that's all we get from the Marine side. So whatever fallout is to happen will be in exposition much later on, or if we have a mini sort of tie-up before leading to Elbaf. But what we see is the Sunny and the giant warrior's ship sailing away some distance now, and it is quiet, too quiet. And it is the three boys of Jinbei, Frankie, and Zorro aboard the Sunny, saying, "Looks like that party died down pretty quickly. Sounds like they had one drink and that was it." And Jinbei's like, "Well, Luffy is, he's still pretty down. He didn't fulfill his goal in the end, the thing he had declared, to help Vegapunk escape Egghead." And Frankie's like, "Well, think about it. We had the 5 elders, a Navy Admiral, CP0, the Seraphim, and an armada of battleships. On a scale we've never seen before, the Straw Hats managed to escape that. It is a miracle that we were able to do it. Let alone," and Frankie's like, "I still can't wrap my head around it. Like, there's so much to take in here, and the ramifications for like what they've just done, what they've seen. They know what they're up against now. They've faced down against the 5 elders, and I think Elbaf is going to be a longer form style, like, training. It's a giant island. This isn't going to be a pit stop. This isn't going to be just part of the island. This is a giant island, and we only know of maybe a corner of it. Dory and Broggy talk about a village on the entire island. We know there's Prince Loki. We know there's a royal family. What we don't know is if there's like a big enemy that Luffy has to defeat. Every arc, it's like Doflamingo, you've got to take down. Kaido's what you got to take down. There is no big looming threat waiting for Luffy on Elbaf. We do know that there are giant creatures around, because Dory and Broggy talk about when they first see the 5 elders, whoa, they're like the size of some of the creatures we have back home. So is this going to be a sort of, right, we've just seen what we're up against, time to fight, time to get stronger. Usopp's obviously got to prove himself here. He's got to be that brave warrior of the sea he wants so badly, his dream, the reason he set out on the Grand Line to begin with. So that's to come when I'm getting sidetracked. But going back to what Frankie's saying, Jinbei is like, yeah, you know what, I totally agree, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. And Zoro just being like so cold is like, you know what, he's a 4 emperor now. He needs to grow up. It's just pathetic. It's just one old geezer. Like, he's just died. He's old. It doesn't matter. And Frankie and Jimmy are like, whoa, slow your roll there. But we go on board the giant ship, and Lilith wakes up. Yes, the last surviving member of the Vegapunks who are on the good aligned side, we'll say, because York is still a mystery currently. We don't see York on Egghead, but we know York is still going to be around in some capacity. So we now have a good and a bad Vegapunk, even though this Vegapunk is actually the embodiment of evil and York is the embodiment of greed. It's a whole thing. But she wakes up and Nami, Chopper, Usopp and Sanji are in the room and are like so excited that she's awake, and she like touches the device against her ear, and whether she switches it back on or she like it doesn't register, it makes like a beep sound. So whether it's turned back on or she's like, oh, like it's broke. But they were like, yeah, we're on board a giant ship, like everything's fine, we're away, but it's going to be tough to tell you this, but you're the only one we were able to save. The other Vegapunks, we're so sorry. And it was Atlas who, knocked you out, like out the blue. And that's why, you're here. And she's like, oh, like, thanks for telling me. I'm just going to need a minute. And just starts to bawl and cry. And Usopp in the corner's like, are you really, like, the embodiment of evil? Like, are you really evil? And then instantaneously she's like, all right, I'm hungry. Where's food? And it's like, whoa, recovered quick. But Brooke is like, oh, we've got food, just over here. The giants set up a full table of fruit and stuff, but it's a little bit gloomy. Luffy's been sat up there, not doing too good, and we can hear him being like, I said I'd save the old apple man, but he's like stuffing like giant-sized grapes into his mouth, and it's like, oh, Luffy's in a bad shape. He's only eaten five grapes. And she's like, that seems plenty, and he's still just like, oh. But Lilith jumps up to Luffy and is like, oh, I can see why you feel sad, but everyone's just explained what happened, and I was sad about it too. Everyone else is deaf, but if death, by your concept, that is what you're thinking, then you need to change your perspective. And we get like 6 shock reactions of everyone on board of the Straw Hats. And she's like, in short, all the Vegapunks are all alive. They're like here. Their memories, their experiences are in Lilith. And I don't know if this is what Oda had set up from way in the beginning, but Lilith was the first one to introduce herself as Vegapunk. When they first reached Egghead, she was the first one on the page. So whether this was Oda setting up that she would be the Vegapunk at the end, this man foreshadows so much, I wouldn't put it past him. But I think that is so interesting that she's the one here right now saying they're all alive, they're here, because I'm here, I'm Vegapunk. And she was the very first person who said that she was Vegapunk. I think that's so cool. So there is an uproar and elation, and everyone is like, what do you mean? Like, they're dead? And she's like, no. You kept your promise to me because I'm here. Don't feel bad, Luffy. We survived. And instantaneously, Luffy, gets his strength back. He's happy again. He jumps up. He tells the giants, thanks for coming to save us. He's like, bring out the food. And the chef is like, I've been waiting for this moment just now. And we see a beautiful shot of Mum Robin cradling Chopper, saying like, I can't wait to get to Elbaf. Finally gonna get to see Saul. And Chopper's like, I'm so happy for you, as he's getting like crushed. And then everyone has come aboard. Jinbei, Frankie and Zoro are now here. And we see everyone being like, we need to toast the toast you gave earlier, Straw Hat. Vegapunk said that you're going to be the one to find the One Piece. Because Sanji must have told them. And he's like, whoever finds it, he says, obviously, will rule the world. So he's like, that's the whole reason I set out to sea. So he's like, I don't care if you guys end up as my enemies, but it's going to be me in the end who becomes the king of the pirates. And we've got the pinnacle shot of every end to an arc. We have the giant feast scene, everyone in celebration. We've got all the giants in the back, all the Straw Hats together in the front, all celebrating ending and surviving. And we get the final message to end out that they are charting a course to the northeast en route to the warland that is Elbaf, the home of the giants. So it got changed a while ago, but Elbaf is now the Warland. And all we see is some sort of sound effect, some noise, and a shadowed figure sat on the coastline, just saying, "Come on then." And that is the end. It was only a small chapter to wrap up Egghead, but we only are a week away, so that kind of works out for me. So next week, we either are going to go into a very small jump around the world, see what other people are doing in response to Vegapunk's message, and what else could be happening. You know, we still don't know an update about Law, Kid, any of the other, Bonnie. I think Bonnie's still here, but we don't actually see her. She was in Kid form. Do we get any updates about any of the other Worst Generation? We don't know if it's just going to go straight into kicking off Elbaf. I think there'll be a wait. I think there'll be a little jump around the world before it's then we are on Elbaf by maybe October, maybe November. But I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Please stay in Elbaf for like a long time. Like 1.0 was over 100 chapters. Let's go with that. We can easily do 100 chapters on Elbaf. It's a giant island. We can have like 5 mini arcs within the Elbaf arc. We just go around the island. We don't need a pit stop. We can stay here for some time because we are so close to the end that the man with flames will show up. The 4th road poneglyph will show up, and pretty certain that once Elbaf wraps up in 3-ish years time, I reckon, Lodestar is next and the ending of One Piece is in sight. I really hope it's like that long, but who knows? Oda might have to cut it down. I really hope he drags it out because I don't want it to end just yet. But anyway, let me know what you thought of the chapter. I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.